What makes good people act in narcissistic ways? We are all human. We all make errors in judgment. We all make mistakes. We all have those bad days, which is why more often than not, when you are dealing with a narcissistic individual who displays that repeat pattern of behaviour, we can justify or excuse their behaviour. We can empathise with them, not realising that they're not coming from the same place that we are. And just because genuine people can act in narcissistic ways does not make them a narcissistic individual. Genuine people usually recognise their own behaviour, feel guilty about their own behaviour, apologise for their own behaviour. Narcissistic individuals shift the blame, shame everybody else around them, and don't take any form of responsibility. Now, when people are feeling insecure, when people are feeling inadequate, when people have low self-worth, when people fear failure, which a narcissist can and will drill into you to feel better about themselves, this can lead to people compensating by seeking constant validation from others or putting other people down to feel superior, temporarily adopting narcissistic traits in the moment, which often leads genuine people to believe that they are the narcissistic one, when what they actually need to do is just go away and work on their insecurities, on what's triggered these insecurities, and work on their own self-esteem and their own confidence. Success, sudden fame, sudden wealth can naturally inflate somebody's ego. The sudden attention, the sudden admiration that someone might receive can lead them to believe that they are special, that they are potentially better than others, leading them to behave selfishly or arrogantly until something happens that knocks them down a peg or two, and then they recognise their behaviour. With a narcissist, they believe the person who knocked them down a peg or two is the problem, and it's never themselves. Stress or pressure. Life is pretty stressful. Life can come along in waves of ups and downs. The pressure can be on, and when people are under that high stress, when people feel overwhelmed, which can lead to them feeling depressed, people can become more focused on their own needs and their own feelings, to the point where they can't seem to snap out of it, to the point where they overlook other people's feelings, not because they don't care, but because they're going through too much inner turmoil within themselves. Or if they pay attention to the suffering of others, that overwhelm mounts, so they have to take a step back and isolate themselves to help refocus. And it can manifest in narcissistic-like behaviours, such as that sense of entitlement or emotional neglect. Competition. Highly competitive people. Highly competitive environments. And we do need healthy competition in life. However, that competitive environment can push people to put their own desires above everyone else's, and it all depends on the actual competition. They can then act in ways that mirror narcissism, such as bragging, such as demeaning others, such as seeking to outshine people. In sports, especially lads, they can have that friendly banter, putting each other down in the competitive arena of the sport. It's in context with the situation. It's not meant personally. It's sort of building their toughness up, their masculinity up. With a narcissist, they create unfair competition, comparing people against each other to knock other people down. Childhood conditioning. Growing up in an environment where self-centered behaviours were rewarded or modelled by caregivers can make a person more likely to exhibit narcissistic traits, especially in relationships. However, if they're not a narcissistic individual, they will be willing to listen to reason and adapt their behaviours. Fear of vulnerability. We can all fear vulnerability, especially when you've dealt with a narcissistic individual. So to avoid appearing weak or flawed, to avoid someone taking advantage, some people can adapt narcissistic defences, especially when you've been repeatedly put down by a narcissistic person. So defences such as arrogance or dismissiveness, to protect their self-esteem and mask their emotional vulnerabilities that have usually been exploited in the past. The entitlement culture. Living in a culture that promotes individualism and self-promotion can push people to focus on their own achievements and their own needs, sometimes at the expense of others. This is when people tend to have the empathy to recognise how it might affect others. With narcissistic individuals, they lack the empathy, so it is all about themselves. So that entitlement culture can make people act in narcissistic ways. However, if they have the empathy to recognise other people's feelings, they're not usually a narcissistic individual. While these behaviours can resemble narcissism, they often arise from temporary circumstances, and when they see the other people's perspectives, which narcissists don't like to do, when they see the bigger picture, they can bring themselves back in line. They're temporary underlying issues. Recognizing these triggers can help people adjust their actions and return to becoming more of an empathetic person. With a narcissistic individual, they lack the empathy to care about others, so they believe they are in the right and they will continue their pervasive pattern of behaviour. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please do add those into the comments for people reading through. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot give no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. I do also have a few one-to-one slots available. I also have several books out on Amazon if anyone is interested in those. There is 15 rules to deal with narcissistic people, how to stay sane and break the chain, how to create boundaries around those who have no respect for your boundaries, healing from narcissistic abuse, a guided journal for recovery and empowerment, a Narcissists Handbook, which is the ultimate guide to understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, and the new book, which is more of a novel, which I was hoping to get out at the end of this month, but I'm only halfway through editing it, is Behind the Mask, The Rise of the Narcissist, which will hopefully be out at the end of this month. If not, it will be November. Thank you very much for watching. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.